Hello, and welcome to Off the Rack. I'm Shelley Beyer, and this is part one of a new series I'm calling Integration. This series is about what happens after recovery. After the drains are gone, the swelling has settled, the questions from friends start slowing down. It's about the quiet, ordinary moments that sneak up on you and whisper, "You're not healing anymore. You're living." No one really prepares you for this stage. There are tons of conversations about surgery, about recovery timelines, about milestones. But what about the day when you stop counting? When you wake up and realize you're moving differently, thinking differently, living differently, and you didn't even notice the exact moment it changed? That's what integration is. And today, I want to take you into 3 moments from my own life that taught me this: the barn, the mirror, and my mom's closet. It was just another morning at the barn with Sophie, my horse. The air was cool, damp with the mix of hay and earth and the faint sweetness of grain. I could hear the birds chattering in the trees and the crunch of my boots on the gravel. It was early, the kind of early where the light is still soft and the world feels half asleep. I wasn't thinking about healing that day. I was just doing chores, mucking out her stall, spreading fresh bedding, tossing hay, chores on autopilot. But post surgery, nothing had been on autopilot. Every movement had been carefully calculated. Can I carry this? Should I bend this way? Will I pay for this later? For months, I had guarded myself, protecting my rib, filling the water bucket only halfway so it wouldn't be too heavy, and bracing before I bent down, moving like someone who didn't trust her own body anymore. But that morning, without even realizing it, I turned on the spigot, let the water fill to the top, and picked up the bucket. It was heavy. My hands clenched around the cold metal handle, and water sloshed all over the rim, splashing onto my boots. And here's the part that stopped me: I didn't brace. I didn't calculate. I didn't tense my rib and wonder if it would hold. My body just did it. Halfway across the barn, I froze. My mind had caught up to what my body had already done. Wait, did I just carry a full bucket? Did I really just do that? I stood there with tears in my eyes, staring at the bucket because this was the first time in months I wasn't tracking recovery. I wasn't thinking about what might hurt or what I couldn't do. I was just living. That water bucket wasn't just water. It was proof that I trusted myself again. That morning at the barn showed me something I hadn't understood before. Becoming isn't an endpoint. It's a practice. Before surgery, I thought I was chasing a finish line. That once I hit certain milestones, no drains, no swelling, no pain, I'd be done. But it doesn't work like that. Becoming isn't about reaching a final version of yourself. It's about showing up day after day for the woman who is unfolding inside you. Integration means you don't have to narrate every ache or brace for every movement. You begin to live like yourself again. Not because you're perfect, but because you trust the quiet progress happening all along. Maybe you've had a moment like that. Maybe not in a barn, but somewhere ordinary, carrying groceries inside without stopping halfway, or walking upstairs without needing the railing, or reaching overhead without wincing. Those moments might not look like milestones to anyone else, but to you, they're sacred because they whisper, you're not just recovering anymore, you're becoming. A few days later, I had another one of those moments, this time in front of the mirror. I pulled out a fitted shirt from the back of my drawer, the kind of shirt I had avoided for years because it clung in all the wrong places. Before surgery, shirts like that weren't just fabric, they were shame triggers. They reminded me of how my body was perceived before people even knew me. They made me want to shrink, to cover, to hide. But that morning, something in me whispered, try it. So I slipped it on, I pulled it down, and I braced myself for the old familiar wave of disappointment. But it didn't come. Instead, I looked in the mirror and I smiled. Not a polite smile, but a smile that softened my whole body. It wasn't about being smaller. It wasn't about being fixed. It was about alignment. For the first time, the reflection in the mirror matched the woman I had been becoming inside. Steadier, softer, more at home. That smile wasn't about vanity. It was about recognition, about finally seeing myself and thinking, yes, that's me. I know her. This is the part no one tells you about. What happens after the milestones? The drains are out, the swelling is down, the scars are fading. Everyone else assumes you're done. But you're not standing at a finish line. You're standing in the middle of something quieter. The shift doesn't come with a grand announcement. It sneaks in through ordinary moments. A shirt, a reflection, a smile. That's when the real questions begin. Not when will I heal, but what kind of life do I want to live now that I am? Maybe you've been there too, standing in front of a mirror, bracing yourself for old shame and realizing it doesn't hit the same way anymore. Those moments matter. They tell you you're not who you were and you're not meant to be. Another glimpse of integration came in a very different place, my mom's house. Her husband had just passed away, and we were cleaning out his closets. It was tender work. Shirts folded into boxes, pants stacked into bags, shoes lined up by the door. Every piece of clothing carried memory. Some made her laugh, some made her cry. Physically, I wasn't at full strength. A part of me worried, what if I overdo it? What if this sets me back? But when it came time to carry those bags to the car, I didn't hesitate. I lifted them. Heavy bags that pulled out my shoulders, my rib twinged, but I didn't stop. I carried them carefully, with trust. And in that moment, I realized something important. Integration isn't about being pain-free. It's about trusting yourself enough to show up even when it's not perfect. That day wasn't about moving clothes. It was about moving through grief with my mom, holding weight for her, both physical and emotional, and realizing I was strong enough to carry both. These stories taught me another truth. Confidence doesn't have to be loud. For so long, I thought confidence meant big energy, being magnetic and commanding the room. But integration has given me a different kind of confidence. It's quiet, steady, embodied. It's the confidence that shows up when you stand taller without realizing it, when you stop apologizing for taking up space, when you catch your reflection and simply think, yes, that's me, and I like her. Confidence doesn't need to perform. It just needs to live in you. And that's the real shift from healing to living. At first, it feels strange. Healing gives you structure, the routines, the appointments, the milestones. When that fades, it can feel like you've lost your script. Who am I now if I'm not recovering? But integration is the invitation to stop treating yourself like a project and start treating yourself like a person again. You stop waiting to be done. You start living like wholeness is already here, because it is. Maybe the most important part, celebration, not just of what you've done, the surgery, the milestones, the recovery checklists, but of who you've become. The woman who says no when she needs to. The woman who trusts her reflection. The woman who carries water buckets and grief bags and still stands tall. What would it look like for you to celebrate not what you've accomplished, but who you're becoming? Not the boxes you've checked, but the softness you've cultivated, the courage you've chosen, the way you've learned to carry yourself. That's the celebration that matters. And if you'd like to connect more deeply, you're invited to join our private Facebook group, Off the Rack Breast Reduction Support for Women. Or add your name to the waitlist for the Healing Room, our private healing community. So if you're in that soft in between, not fully in recovery, but not ready to declare yourself all healed, I want you to know this. That space is sacred. That pause is holy. Integration isn't the end of healing. It's healing becoming life. You're not behind. You're not unfinished. You're unfolding. Thank you so much for letting me share this part of my journey. Until next time, be gentle with your heart and kind to your body, and willing to let healing become a way of life.